in the Middle East, we have too much what I call pessimism. Pessimism. Pessimism means people are always torn between pessimism and optimism. You know, they just keep basically going from this corner to that corner. One day they are optimistic, the other day they are pessimistic. And this is actually so hard to go through. It takes all of your energy if you are obsessed by pessimism and optimism. And we have too much of that. Sorry, but we have too little hope. Too much pessimism, but too little hope. And, you know, if you come and visit the Holy Land today, you will see that the majority of Israeli and the majority of the Palestinians, they don't have hope anymore. There isn't anything anymore to hope for. And that is the most dangerous thing. The Bible says people without vision will perish. Unfortunately, this is what is happening. There are two people in the Middle East without a vision that are perishing. So, too much pessimism and too little hope. And this is why in our ministry we said we want to focus on hope. We want to focus on hope. And hope for me is something totally different than optimism. Optimism has to do with optic. You see things. You see it's going to get better. I tell you, I don't see that. If you want my analysis of the situation, we're heading towards the most sophisticated apartheid system that ever existed in modern history. This is why President Carter, by the way, Baptist, wrote a book with the title Peace, Not Apartheid. Because he exactly knew we are heading towards the most sophisticated apartheid system. There are already streets in Bethlehem confiscated by Israel from Palestinian Christians, and the Palestinian Christians, myself, we cannot drive on those roads because they are only for Jewish settlers. What we are heading towards is actually a combination of segregation, reservation, and apartheid. So I cannot be optimistic. In fact, I'm more pessimistic. And yet, we are people of hope. In fact, we at our center are very hopeful. Not because we know tomorrow is going to be better. Hope for us is not what we see. Hope is what we do. Hope is what we do today. Martin Luther, if I'm allowed in this holy Presbyterian gathering to cite Martin Luther said once, even if I knew that the world might come to an end tomorrow, he said, I will go out today into the garden and plant an olive tree. He talked about an apple tree as a good German. We talk about olive trees. But this is exactly hope. Hope is seeing actually we're heading towards this apartheid system. We do not kid ourselves. We do not lie to ourselves. We do not try to make up. We do not try to talk nicely about the situation, because the situation is very ugly. And yet we know we are heading, and we say, you know what? The only option is to go out today into the society and to plant olive trees. Because unless we plant olive trees today, you know, after tomorrow, there will be no shadow where our kids can play under. There will be no oil to heal all those who are wounded. And there will be no branches left to wave with when peace comes. And this is exactly what we are doing. We are planting one olive tree after the other, one institutions after the other, because this is the only place where our people can see hope at work. So, again, just to sum up, these are the 7 keys. You can add them to the book of Revelation. Because these are the modern 7 keys to understanding the conflict. And these are the modern 7 keys for us Christians to get engaged. And I would say we were never as needed in this world as today. And we were never as much needed as in the Middle East. This is why I'm staying there, not immigrating, in spite of the wall and in spite of the occupation and in spite of all the restriction I have to live under, because we believe there is too little from all these 7 things, and we can make there a difference. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody who has a question they'd like to ask Mitri?
Yeah, you know, Israeli are actually not allowed into the Palestinian territories because Israel forbid them to enter into our cities. But around 60% of the people who participate in the program, so around 60% of the 60,000 people who every year come to our programs, they are Muslims, and 40% Christians. So the majority actually of those who come to us are Muslims. We have a small land compared with what colleges here have, but you know, the Holy Land is so small. That is a miracle. I can tell you the story how we got hold of the land, but we have a small piece of land where we have there the school, the health and wellness center, and now we are building the college. And hopefully in the future, as we grow, I'm sure that the Lord will help us to acquire more land. Yeah, the question is about the churches, if they are working together, the different churches. You know, it's very, very different from one context to the other. But I would say in the West Bank, there is a good sense of cooperation between the different denominations. In fact, just last December, we finished writing a theological document called the Kairos document, a moment of truth, a word of faith, hope and love from the heart of the Palestinian suffering. And we were a group of 15 people. There were Greek Orthodox, Roman Catholics, Lutherans, Anglicans, Greek Catholics, and Baptists. So the whole spectrum. And you can see this theological statement, Kairos Palestine, on our website. This is, for example, for me, maybe the best example of different churches and also pastors, theologians, and lay leaders men and women, younger and older people working together. So for me, that is maybe the best example of collaboration.